This is Jonathan Schecter with Pathways to Integration, and I received this question in my community. I'm interested in learning about the intersection of breathwork and other healing modalities and would like to get input from the community based on their practices and experiences. What techniques or aspects of breathwork practice do you find are beneficial in conjunction with other practices, i.e., plant medicine ceremonies, and vice versa? So, this is one of the most asked questions that I receive in my work as a breathwork facilitator and psychedelic integration coach. Because my work sits right at this intersection of breathwork and psychedelics, this video is going to be focused on using breathwork to support your plant medicine experiences. So this is a complex topic. There's a lot of nuance here, so I'm going to break it down into two parts. First, the breath work that supports the preparation and integration of plant medicine and psychedelics. And then secondly, breath work that you could use during plant medicine or psychedelics, which is a lot more controversial. And again, kind of a complex topic, so I'm going to break it down into the way that I like to explain breath work, which is in three different types. There's breath work for awareness, there's breath work for nervous system regulation, and there's breath work for transformation, what you might call holotropic breath work, or another way to put this is breath work that puts you into an altered state all on its own, no plant medicines required. So first, to start with breath work for preparation and integration. Well, if you don't know, good integration begins with preparation. So the breath work that I teach in my school community or with my one-on-one coaching clients all supports preparation and integration of psychedelics. So the breath work for awareness, things like mindfulness, having a meditation practice, even some of the somatic practices that we go over, and breath work for nervous system regulation, things like coherence breathing or cadence breathing. These will support the preparation and integration of your psychedelic experience. There are also things that you can do during the psychedelic experience to stay more grounded, to stay more present, and to not lose your way when the intensity of the plant medicine and the psychedelic starts to get bigger, when things start to feel overwhelming, when you start to hold on to the mat or, hold on to the earth so you don't fall off of it. So these are things that you want to practice not just once, but regularly. And this is a secret of breath work, not really a secret, but it's something that I share with people is it's less about having something that you've never used before and trying to use it when you need it in the moment. The key to working with the breath for psychedelic integration, for nervous system regulation, is to regularly practice these skills so that your system starts to get used to it. There's no way that I can cram a year's worth of meditation practice into one day, one session, 1 week. It just doesn't work that way. In the same way that you don't go to the gym and get 1 year of gains in one workout. So what I recommend is that you find practices for awareness that you can do on a regular basis, preferably every single day. A mindfulness-based meditation practice is perfect. A somatic experiencing-based awareness practice is also great. And these are all things that I teach in the Pathways to Integration school community. There's guided practices there. There's also the Foundations of Integration daily practice that includes mindfulness meditation and somatic work. Breath work for your nervous system regulation is similar. the more that I practice something like box breathing, coherence breathing, cadence breathing, the more that my system starts to adjust and get used to what it feels like to move into that space, the easier nervous system regulation becomes. And the more that I move from changing the state to changing the trait. So you might have experienced something where you're stressed out, you're anxious, and someone says, take a deep breath and relax. That might work a little bit. It might not, depending on how stressed you are. But it is something that one can do to lower their overall anxiety or stress. But the thing is, it's only going to work a little bit if I'm just using it sporadically. If I have a daily practice or a regular practice, and even 5 to 10 minutes, my system is going to start to adjust and adapt around that. And it's going to be easier for me to access the effects of it when I need it, and even when I'm not using it. So when I'm coming into a psychedelic experience, it's going to be easier for me to do. Even things like working with cannabis, any psychedelic really, I'm going to be using awareness practices and practices like coherence breathing so that I can be centered, so that I can be present, so that I can be grounded, so that I can be open to what is happening in the moment. And I can use those before I go into that ceremony, into that experience, just like one does dieta before certain psychedelics. Meditation and breathwork can be a part of that dieta. And I can use those same breathwork skills in my integration process to really sit with the material that came up in the experience. So these are skills that one should be using on a regular basis to connect with a deeper presence, a deeper sense of self, and more awareness before, during, and after you're working with psychedelics. Now, during the psychedelic experience, like I said, you definitely want to be practicing some sort of meditation, some sort of breath work, just to stay grounded or to help you regulate as needed. Because one of the things about a psychedelic experience is it's inherently dysregulating. But there's another use for breath work, and this one is a little bit more controversial. And that is using upregulating breath work, or some people call it power breath work or transformational breath work during the experience to enhance the psychedelic experience. And this is definitely not for beginners. This is something that should be practiced with a lot of caution, with a lot of reverence, and going really, really slowly. But for me, the practice began with learning about Stan Grof and his work with LSD, which also led to his development of holotropic breathwork. And if you know the history of that, you understand that Stan Grof, in his LSD sessions with clients, noticed time and time again that during intensity, or especially as the peak of the experience was subsiding, but there was still material that needed to be worked through, that the client would start to spontaneously breathe deeper and faster, even close to hyperventilating, and that would take them back into a deeper part of the experience. And that was one of the ways that holotropic breathwork was born, was his hypothesis that could this work without the LSD, and indeed it does. One could do something like a circular type of a breath, a Wim Hof type of a breath during the psychedelic experience, which is going to upregulate the nervous system, which is going to enhance and intensify what is already happening, because this type of breath work can induce a altered, non-ordinary state of consciousness all on its own, which is why I'm recommending using it very cautiously. But for me, what has worked is either using those circular types of breath work with towards the end of my psychedelic session, like way after the peak, as I'm starting to feel the medicine start to get a little bit less intense, as I'm feeling it, the come down period start to begin. I've used circular breathing to intensify, to bring things back up, to stay in a higher level of space for a longer period of time. And the place that this really can be synergistic is working intentionally with cannabis. Now, even if you're a regular cannabis user, I would be very cautious with this, go very slowly, probably smoke less than you're used to. But breathwork and cannabis does have a very synergistic effect. So, again, these are all practices that we have in our Pathways to Integration school site. It's free to join. And there's also additional guided sessions depending on your membership access. We have free sessions going on a couple of times a month. So I would definitely come over to Pathways to Integration on school to check that out, to learn more. And I'll also leave a link in this video to my own personal website so that if you're interested in more one-on-one coaching for integration or preparation of plant medicine and psychedelics, supported through breathwork, supported through transpersonal psychology, somatic experiencing, the things that I focus on in my work, that you can get a hold of me. So I hope that this helped. Leave any questions or comments below, and I'll be happy to answer them because, as I said, this is a question that I've gotten asked a lot. Figured it was time to make a video about it to help people. Hope this helps.